Welcome back to another episode of Red Tinted Glasses. We're nearing the season's end, but we're ending on a positive note because once again we have a victory and a clean sheet to talk about on tonight's episode. And unsurprising, well, no, surprising actually, Phil. The new kit was released this afternoon, so we'll be discussing that. We'll also be looking back at the under 18s who are in action tonight. But due to other commitments, we both couldn't get to Pataudry to see the under 18s lift the development trophy. Hopefully, they'll be along at Pataudry on Wednesday night to celebrate that as well. Sam Gordon is currently at Pataudry, but also tuned into Red Tinted Glasses. There's commitment to the podcast for us there from Sam. I'm sure he'll be providing us updates from the game. We'll also look ahead to the visit of Livingston this midweek Wednesday evening, the final home game of the season. Phil, how are you doing tonight? You were, of course, at Easter Road at the weekend. You must still be buoyed, pun fully intended, from what you've seen at the weekend.
Yes, Boyd, I guess, in more ways than one after the rain as well. Wasn't a happy bunny when I got home. I think I've just dried out on that fact. But yeah, no, feeling good. And I'm glad we can cut to Sam like a Chris Kamara style for the under 18s.
Oh, hopefully there's no errors coming through and we're not misreporting anything that Sam feeds to us this evening. Let's start there actually then. On the 18s, winning the league on Friday away at Rangers, a 2-1 victory for the third game in a row, coming from behind to claim all 3 points after Kilmarnock had previously slipped up against the opponents on Friday. And just what job both Scott Anderson, Stuart Duff, the coaching staff have done to kind of breed this winning mentality into that squad. And for a bigger picture, from a first team perspective, when you've got a manager coming in that seems to want to develop young players as well, and the ethos of the club is also to do similar, it's just a great feeling all round for the club. And I know they're going to promote this to the end of time because it is something that they should rightly be proud of.
Yeah, I think it's been a great few weeks. Like we keep on speaking about for the under 18s, and I'm glad that they just like to let other teams have a chance before we go and scud them. Because they're so good. But no, I think it again it's testament to the ethos the club's trying to pitch themselves as as a platform for young talented players to really shine and excel. And I think this group of players, they've been together for long enough, coming through the under 16s sort of age bracket of competition as well. So I think it's really paid off for them. And as we'll speak about later as well, couldn't be happier for them.
Yeah, and Fletcher Boyd playing tonight. Mark Robertson pointing out, of course, it would be Friday, Sunday, Monday. So it's the joys of being young that doesn't catch up with you for a while. And I'm sure still flying off the adrenaline from yesterday as well. And what I would be interested to see later on, and I don't know if Sam can maybe give us some insight at present, is what the crowd's currently like at Pataudry. I think only the main stand was open for tonight. Obviously, the women's team got a crowd of just over 2,000, and I know that for the women's team there was a lot of free tickets handed out as well. I don't think there's free tickets being handed out for tonight's game. So kind of just to contrast the two, and obviously an opportunity for the young guns to get a run out at Pataudry for the second time this season, just see what sort of backing that they get, because obviously a lot of their games are tended to be played at Cormac Park as well. The league win does come with the added bonus that European football will be at Pataudry, I think. I don't think they'll be allowed to play the games at Cormac Park. So for those wanting a wee European trip, the Dons go into the Champions Path second round, so a buyout with the first round. Ties to be played on the 23rd of October and 6th of November. So there is a little bit of a wait, but good to see some European experience for the young players.
Yeah, and I think as well, like we spoke about the other week, I think giving them the chance to play at Pataudry as well, it's good for them, and it's hopefully just sees a continued growth really in the sort of interest we've had in the last few weeks around the youth teams' performances, again, give them that path into the first team, as we saw at the weekend. And who knows, we've definitely got a few talented players there, and having them playing against sort of the more established academies across Europe will be even better for their development.
Yeah, and as Sam's saying, there's at least 3 box full in the main stand. Shinnie and Barron continuing their support of the youngsters by being in attendance as well. Mark Robertson's listed the team, obviously after the disappointment for him on a personal level with his on loan club Alfie Stewart, who I know that the Peterhead fans were fairly impressed with. He captains the side tonight. I just wonder now that his domestic season, so to speak, is done. Could we now see the likes of Alfie Stewart potentially get some game time in the games against Livingston and Ross County? Alfie Babbage similar, although obviously we're going to kind of come on to the game itself and the fact that Esther Sokler got a lot of minutes as well. Could some of these young players feature between over the next 180 minutes before the season closes? But it's always nice to see young, homegrown, local lads get into that team, and I think that fourth goal, obviously yesterday, which we'll go into in a bit more detail, I think is just extra special because it's a local lad who probably couldn't believe his luck when that ball found the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, I think as soon as I seen him in the team sheet, it was kind of like, oh, it's quite a nice touch. Hopefully he gets 5 minutes to just be around it. And then after the first half hour, I was thinking maybe he won't get off the bench because it looks like this is going to be a bit tighter than we think. And then to come on and sort of have the obviously the impact he did. Yeah, it was lovely. It was just it's one of those things, as we both grew up in Aberdeen, probably dreamed of that moment. To live vicariously through somebody else for a few minutes is it's something that's just lovely about it.
It is. It really is. It's the joys of football that you kind of, as you say, live through somebody else. We'll speak about the game then. Yesterday, as Aberdeen defeated a very hapless Hibs side 4-0, probably the best attacking display we've seen from this Aberdeen side in a long time. Steve Tosh calling us the hide and seek champions, wondering where this sort of level of performance has been for most of the season. And I'm sure many Aberdeen fans will agree with that assessment from Tosher. We look at the starting 11. Once again, Graham Shinnie not afforded a place in the starting lineup. He remained on the bench. I guess you would have been pretty much content because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it was the lineup we pretty much all expected to come out. I think the only maybe question mark was whether it was going to be Duke starting or whether Shinnie would have came back in. But other than that, I think it was. Yeah, I don't think anyone had any sort of qualms with the team that we saw start the game.
Yeah, and maybe we were expecting the Dons to start on the front foot and continue that kind of positive nature. Of course, that's now 6 clean sheets in a row. I think it's 7 unbeaten now. But it wasn't the case. Obviously, we spoke about maybe Hibs looking to react after that defeat up in Dingwall, and that was very much the case in the opening half hour. It very much felt that Hibs were on top, but failed to take their chances. The obviously kind of maybe big talking point was when Angus MacDonald pulled, I can't remember who it was, he pulled him back, but there was a offside. I think it was Martin Boyle in the build-up. We'll claim Stephen Gartman played the line very well.
Yeah, no, it was the first sort of 25 half an hour was a bit tetchy at times. I think it was strange because I think we've spoken about it before. I think most people can see it. Hibs are a very one-dimensional team. They've got a lot of pace in the wing and they just cause an overload on one side and use that to their advantage. And I feel like we just never really reacted to it enough at the start of the game. Obviously, again, Hoylett's not the sort of player that's going to be coming back and giving Mackenzie much support when he's got Martin Boyle running that. And I thought he did a good job defensively at times, in fairness to him. But I think that the first sort of 20, 25 minutes, we really sort of struggled to cope with the quality they had in the wide areas. But yeah, thank God that Leighton Clarkson's rolled it back a season. I've been critical of him on here, but yeah, what a performance he put in yesterday.
I know, I was actually listening back to the kind of opening half hour of last week's show to see if I could do like the old like mystical rewind and listen and insert clip of Phil's mystical thoughts on Leighton Clarkson and made you eat your words. But I think also kind of you were more speaking about his quality of passing. And look, Leighton Clarkson this season has not been the Leighton Clarkson that we as Aberdeen fans expected. I'm sure he'll be the first to admit, and he pretty much did in his post-match interview, that he wasn't at the level he was hoping to be this season. Confidence being the key word that he used, and he's not been a confident player. I think we need to look at who's been in the dugouts for apportioning some of that blame there. But the quality of the strike, that's what we know that Leighton Clarkson can do. And I think obviously that's the first goal from yesterday, but all the goals that we scored yesterday had that bit of quality about them, that quality that's been missing for large parts of this season in the attacking third, probably on a regular basis. We've seen it in flashes, but we haven't seen it often enough throughout the course of this season.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I've spoke about it on Twitter already. Yesterday was the best that midfield's looked all season. The whole team were obviously, to a T, perfect. But that midfield especially was immense. And, not to say I maybe told you so, but I mean, having Clarkson being that progressive driving force in the midfield is what changed that, because it just gave everybody else around them the confidence in, his range of passing, the defensive shift he was putting in at times as well. I was really glad to see him sort of turn it around. But like you said, just the confidence that seems to be back going forward. It is at times a bit like the tail end of the season with Robson taking over. It just seems when we're going forward, every player just looked like they wanted to get on the ball, they wanted to take on their man, and they just wanted to produce something. And yeah, it was just, I'd say, probably the best attack of the sleigh we've put on this season.
Yeah, and not for one to also join in with I told you so. We spoke about it last week about if you don't take your shots, or if you don't take any shots, you're not going to score, instead of maybe playing the pass. But this weekend it looked like we were quite open to taking that shot rather than playing a pass to Bojan Miovski and just relying on Bojan to find the back of the net. Obviously, Leighton and Dante in particular in that first half were on it. When Leighton speaks about being a confident player, though, I want to kind of go back to that. It maybe speaks more about the man management or lack of man management skills that both Barry Robson and Neil Warnock provided to this Aberdeen squad. Certainly a fragile squad in terms of the mentality with where we were in the league, that they maybe didn't possess the skill to put the arms around the correct players to bring their confidence up to a level that's needed. And I think that speaks volumes for the job that Peter Leven especially has done, because of course he's been a part of this whole season under, of course, Barry Robson, Neil Warnock, and on his own 2 feet. And we're kind of left in that lurch, I guess. He's also going to be part of the new management setup next season, but he's impressing enough that obviously Barnsley have been touted before. He could go it alone if he continues, picks up another couple of wins between now and the end of the season. Certain clubs, maybe within Scotland or down south, could be tempted to try and prize him away and see if he fancies going it alone.
Definitely. I think in terms of being a good man manager, I think he spoke about it in his post-match. He's basically saying to Clarkson, you're a quality player, have a pop. I think he knows exactly how to get the best out of the squad. I think the thing I like about Peter Leven is he's very self-aware. I think he knows he's a very good quality coach, but I also think he knows that maybe another season just in and around the club is maybe the best for him. I've got no doubts that he's going to have a very successful career as a first team manager. He's got all the hallmarks to be able to do that. I just wonder if he's, maybe, I guess you could say, slightly old school in that sense, where he kind of wants to prove himself a bit first before taking a big leap. Obviously Stirling Albion's now managerless. The likes of a club like that, could you go and get them up a league and then go on to something bigger from there? Who knows? But I think he's got a very sensible head and shoulders. And I think if he was wanting, to go on his own, he probably would have by now, potentially.
Yeah, and I think, Paul Hannon saying maybe we should have, stuck with Leven instead when Robson was sacked, because we might have been in the top 6 instead of the bottom 6. But it's all ifs and buts. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I think what was kind of obvious from certainly what I've been told and heard is that Leven at no point wanted the job when Barry first left. And again, I think similar when Neil left, he didn't want the job on a permanent basis at that moment in time. Dandy saying I think he wants to kind of stay and learn off of Thielen, who's of course coming in June. So I think Peter, as you say, probably in time will become a manager, but the question remains whether or not that's something he wants to do. But for now, I guess like some of the current crop of players, we should enjoy him whilst he remains here at Aberdeen.
Yeah, I mean, nobody would begrudge him for taking a first team manager's job. Nobody would begrudge him for that. But yeah, what a coup if we managed to keep a hold of him. Because really, obviously I'm very happy staying within the coaching team, but from how he's performed, you could argue he's too good to be the third man in a coaching setup or whatever.
Well, that's the thing as
his
well.
role might be.
You're right, because he's going to be the third man, or is it not going to be fourth? Because is Jimmy not taking two coaches with him? I think. Yeah, he's taking
so,
two coaches. So yeah, he's going to be fourth, I guess, in line. But maybe just working in the background, as we've kind of said, being that kind of recognizable face might work. We'll see how the dynamics work between now and into next season. But we'll go back to the action and we'll speak about the second goal. Dante Polvara scoring his first league goal for the Dons after great work from Nicky Devlin in the attacking third, dispossessing Jordan Obita before teeing the ball to Junior Hoylett. Again, Junior showing great awareness to find the American, as you called it, the North American allegiance in full flow, as Dante as well, like Leighton, curls it beautifully into the side netting. 2-0 Aberdeen, and we're going back to wondering where we've seen this before, and just probably rejoicing at some of the football on show, because it's been a tough watch at times this season, but we've got to enjoy the good times.
Yeah, no, I think obviously absolutely ecstatic for Pavard to get his first league goal. I know he's popped up with a few in the various competitions he's been part of this season. But no, you could see how much it meant for him to get one in the league. His big eye like that was very American of him. Enjoyed that a lot. But no, the absolute passion and sort of desire for Nicky Devlin just to not give up on what earlier on in the season would have probably been a dead ball that nobody would have went for. To press his man right up to the Hibs byline, win it back, and then Hoylett as well was just class again. Just the way he plucks the ball out the air, the way he picks a perfectly weighted pass every single time. To find Polvara and hit a shot like he did. The looking back at it on the replay was even better than it looked from the opposite end of the stadium. So yeah, and like I say, I mean, there's a bit of foreshadowing with my friend bringing me a freedom's flag candle, as he hadn't actually came to visit me down in Edinburgh. And you'll be pleased to know that Freedom's flag smells like a Polvara Thunder Bastard, Glen. That's what it smells like. And there's going to be plenty more. There's going to be plenty more than I'm sure.
Well, that's a great marketing ploy, and I'm sure it'll be lapped up by the Aberdeen faithful.
Yankee candle, give me a discount, please.
Dandy saying he thinks Dante will hit double figures next season if he gets the game time. I saw another tweet, and I can't remember who it was from, so apologies for not quoting you correctly. But saying that Thielen should look to build the team around Leighton Clarkson and Dante Polvara next season. One, as you say, Leighton in the kind of driving force to the strikers, and Dante being that main midfielder. Obviously, kind of doubts still remain around Connor Barron's future and how much of kind of place in the team Graham Shinnie has, because the midfield has looked good. It has looked free-flowing without a madman running around in that centre of the midfield. But would you kind of agree that those two players could be pivotal to build a team around?
Yeah, I mean, from what we've seen this, especially on Sunday, but, this season, and obviously in Clarkson's case last season, the quality's there in both of them. Good midfielders are a luxury to come by. And I think sort of having two in our ranks, I don't know what Polvara's contract situation's like, but two that are tied down to decent deals, and you can invest money from potential ongoings or just further investment into the club into maybe other areas. I think building that sort of, I don't want to say pivot, because sort of denotes that Clarkson's playing deep.
I
But
guess
the sort
almost
of the anchorage in the middle of Clarkson and Povara would work, I think.
it's almost like trying to find like the spine of a team because
Yeah,
again, you look back to defensively as I said, that 6 clean sheets in a row now, a defensive partnership with Stefan Gartman and Angus MacDonald. Let's not forget this is a same Angus MacDonald that was pivotal to our run of kind of defensive solidarity. Yeah, that works. At the back end of last season when Barry Robson came in, and he's doing the same again at a vital stage of this season. It's the same Angus MacDonald that couldn't, for some reason, get back into the team under Barry Robson at the start of this season, and he persisted with Richard Jensen at centre back, who I think has been pointed out countless times doesn't even play that for the Finnish national team. He plays out at a left back. So you could even look at the likes of Angus MacDonald, Dante Leighton as being that spine of the team, those 3 players that you then kind of build around. Again, of course, Angus is another player whose future to some remains kind of up in the air. And I know some have maybe doubted the quality that Angus possesses, but I think when you look for a no nonsense defender to try and keep it simple, he does that. I know there's maybe few elements of his game that he lacks in, but again, that's why he's at an Aberdeen, not a bigger club somewhere in the English Championship, yada yada yada. But we have to deal with the players that we've got, and for us, I think he's certainly a more than capable centre back. But looking at the game again yesterday, once we got that first couple of goals, Dante clearly inspired by seeing the Northern Lights on Friday night. The confidence really seemed to flow through the entire team. Bojan Miovski quite unlucky not to find the back of the net, finding the roof of the net instead. But I think the confidence of Aberdeen coupled with the kind of mental weakness of that Hibs side, obviously their fans started flooding for the exits. It just seemed to be we just got into a groove and just didn't look back.
yeah. No, I think that's a very fair assessment. I think it's a typical Hibs where if you go 1 or 2 up, the game's just going to open up for you, and especially Hibs in the current state that they're in. I know that Nick Montgomery's under a lot of fire. I know the ultras that stayed back after the game on the Hibs side had a protest against recent performances and how things are getting done. So I think it was, and I think I kind of knew the minute the second went in before half time. I thought this could either, I think I did say to my friend, it's going to be 4 or 5, because you could just kind of, and especially the way we're playing as well, you could just tell it was a team that just felt like they couldn't put a foot wrong. People were, again, it's things we spoke about before. People were trying things that we haven't seen them trying for a while. Clarkson's pinging these 40-yarders on a 5 pence into the channel. Povara's hitting shots from the edge of the box. Hoylett's hitting shots from the edge of the box. And I think it was nice to sort of almost see that weight taken off of Miovski as well, because I think it also reinstated just how good other aspects of his game are. The ability for him to hold up the ball, the runs he does off the ball, which just opened up all the space for Clarkson and McGrath to get forward. I mean, it was just, I think it's just feeds into this whole feel good factor that Leaving's brought back in the club. I mean, it's been a while since I've been watching Aberdeen play and just felt so just genuinely just overjoyed at just how things were going. So yeah, no, it's brilliant.
And as I said, I was listening back to the last episode before we came live tonight, and just kind of pick up on some of the points that you'd made about the kind of squad and Leighton Clarkson in particular. But there was a comment that I got reminded of, and I don't know if they're tuning into the episode tonight, but somebody had commented saying that in the second half of the game against St Johnstone, we were like prime Barcelona 2006, but without the finishing ability. Well, I think we put both together and we're like prime Barcelona after the first half hour, of course, on Sunday. But we did have the finishing to boot, because those goals were just of a quality that if they had been scored by the likes of Barcelona, they'd be talked about for a long time. No more so than that third goal. Such an aesthetically pleasing goal, starting from the long ball from Jamie McGrath, the way Junior Hoylett controls it on his, I don't know, is that thigh, knee, drives into the box, Leighton Clarkson's dummy, Bojan Miovski's finish. It's just, honestly, chef's kiss.
Liquid.
It is liquid football, and the club obviously, the day after a game, they always post the clips of the goals on their social media accounts. Leighton Clarkson's dummy even sells the cameraman filming the goals as well. He's what? Where's it gone? Oh, just such a good goal.
Yeah, I think again, like I said, I think Clarkson for me was unplayable. But Junior Hoylett again, just what a player. I mean, it's scary to think. Could you imagine if he still had the legs? You're talking about someone that's honestly, people will speak about Jota and the various other players that have came through at Celtic in recent years. I think Junior Hoylett with a set of legs on him would be frightening in the Scottish League, because the quality that he just possesses and just the general calmness as well going forward. Again, I think that feeds into it. I mean, every time he just stood up his defender, just went past them, and every single time it just seemed to be the right pass. But yeah, no, like I said, I mean, even Clarkson's not even sold me in the stand. I mean, it was it was for me. That was probably in terms of actual quality the best goal of the day for me. Just the entire build up, obviously. I think in overall it's going to the fourth, just for the sort of the emotion around it, I guess.
Yeah, here he goes, Daniel Wilkes. That was who said that a performance Barca 2006 would be proud of. Good to see you're tuning back in this week, Daniel. The third goal, obviously, when you're away from home, bottom six game, kind of going towards the end of the season, we spoke about giving players that maybe haven't seen the amount of minutes they'd hoped for over the course of the season or recent weeks opportunity. We get that. Esther Sokler getting a decent run out for a change, replacing Bojan Miovski. How did you think Esther looked yesterday?
I thought he looked all right. I mean, obviously you can tell maybe the confidence isn't exactly at an all-time high. I think especially looking at the chance he had on the stretch, obviously it's a difficult chance anyway, but you think, maybe a bit more match sharpness, a bit more confidence, he's probably on the end of it. But I thought his overall work rate, I mean, I don't think he was sent on to go and score goals. We weren't chasing a game. But I think the work that he put in off the ball, leading the press, he caused that keeper some amount of problems. His kicking got a bit latchy towards the end there, just with the sheer pressure Esther was putting on him. But I think if Miovski does end up heading off in the summer, I think seeing Sockler maybe taking a bit of a bigger role in the club wouldn't fear me too much, really. I think he's got, I suppose it's maybe just the type of striker that comes from that area. They're very hard working, and the opportunities come, they can score them.
Yeah, and well, if the pressure's not on Esther Sokler, at least we've got Fletcher Boyd to fill in the void. Well, that rhymes too. He became the second youngest goal scorer in the SPFL history, just a month behind Jack Aitkenson of Celtic. I think he was the third youngest debutant for Aberdeen. I think I saw behind former guest of this show, Jack Grimmer, and Fraser Fivey as well. But Sam Gordon, I know he's obviously at Pataudry tonight, but when we were discussing kind of team news for the weekend's trip to Hibs about, do we like rest Bojan, give him the opportunity obviously to go and get 30 goals. Sam, I thought he was taking the piss, said, give Fletcher Boyd a chance because you've been banging it in for the 18s. So credit where credit's due, Sam. You shouted for Fletcher to get a chance. Peter Leven gave him his chance as well. What a moment for the 16-year-old finding the back of the net. What a goal and what a celebration, should we say? Thankfully, not injured after Duke body slammed him, as Ewan Grant says. WWE and Duke crossover, the storyline we didn't know we needed. But what a moment for young Fletcher, of course. He scored the equaliser on Friday against Rangers that helped the Young Guns on their way to winning the league as well, and had a fantastic season. In January as well, the club fended off interest from Aston Villa, Leeds as well. I think were touted, and there was a couple of other Premiership, Championship clubs. So clearly a man in demand from some big clubs down south. Hopefully we can keep him next season as well and fend off that interest. And I'm sure the opportunity of more first team minutes for your hometown club, you'd like to think would be enough to do so for at least another year.
Yeah, no, I think I read, is it 30 goal contributions in total for the 18s this season or something? So clearly someone that knows how to produce a little bit of magic. But I mean, yeah, even just coming off the bench, I mean, the ovation that he got, getting sort of almost peer pressured into taking the corner by Shinnie, which I think was probably the right decision. Get your first kick out the way. The corner wasn't great, but it just got out the system. And like you say, the goal. I mean, even his overall play as well. There's a few moments, where he sort of came deep and sort of sent Duke on his way with a couple of well weighted passes. But I think what's not getting spoken about enough for the goal is the work that he's done to get there. I mean, he was in Aberdeen's half, sort of helping the defensive efforts, and he gets all the way up in the 6-yard box. For a 16-year-old to have that sort of spatial awareness, that decision making with his run to time it perfectly to get on the end of it. The celebration, you could tell that was a man that was new to the job of professional football and a bit full of adrenaline, because I've never seen someone like so shocked. Maybe it was the concussion from the angle slam off Duke, but yeah, no, what a moment. I mean, it's a strange one, because there's also that emotion you felt from that goal, because it was just it was just such a feel good moment. So yeah, hopefully, like we said before, he's one of the many players that we can really look to in the future for really helping prop the club up.
Yeah, Lee Seymour saying there's 19 goals and 19 assists at Sports Sound we're saying. But yeah, I'm glad you made that point, because I forgot to put it in notes myself, but picked up on that when I was watching Sports Scene back last night, that he wins the ball in the middle of the pitch and he sprays it out to Duke, and it's not just a hit and hope. He knows where Duke is, and he times his run well. He doesn't burst a gut to get up there and screaming for the ball. When the ball goes to Esther on the other side of the pitch, he makes that run so well timed. And I don't know if it's a bit of shock at everything that's going on. The adrenaline hasn't kind of sunk in yet. But, I saw someone say he almost looked embarrassed and he didn't celebrate enough. But what are you supposed to do in that moment? And I'm sure those kind of celebrations such will come. I saw, of course, the Aberdeen admin tweeting that we don't even have a goal graphic for Fletcher yet, and that'll need to be done as well. But a lovely moment for him and his family, of course, as well, I'm sure, as he was getting serenaded walking back to the halfway line for kickoff. And another goal for a striker from Port Soy, as many pointed out yesterday. We all know what happened the last time we had a striker from Port Soy play for us.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it was probably a mix of shock, a mix of concussion, everything. I mean, even if we were 5-0 down, I think if I scored a goal for Aberdeen, even at this big age, it'd be tops off, side in, it'd be absolute bedlam. So no, but I think it's kind of testament to just, I guess, how mature of a head he's got on him. And I think it was kind of evident in some of his play at times. He wasn't getting on the ball and just going, right, I'm just going to head down, sprint towards goal, just try and do something. It was, who can I pick out? Like I say, some of the passes he was spraying out wide, outside of the foot, little, curlers in that were perfectly weighted for Duke to run onto, and, in the middle of the park, wasn't just looking to get the ball away. He was sort of turning and going, who can I find here? So no, I think hopefully, like Cleveland said in his post-match as well, it's just the start of maybe some of these young guys getting drip fed into the team towards the end of this season. So no, hopefully there's maybe a few more performances like that sitting waiting in the wings, and it's probably great for the 18s as well. I'm sure Scott Anderson probably won't want to make too big of a deal out of it.
Yeah.
To overinflate his ego and maybe give a false sense of confidence, but yeah, no, I guess it's something you can go back and say, look, if you put in the performances, the opportunities will come, and if you take them, who knows where your ceiling might be.
Yeah, absolutely. Musical Box saying that something Fletcher will remember for the rest of his life. And obviously, amidst the interest that we've kind of spoken about, Dandy saying, I don't know why promising youngsters, obviously it's not aimed at Fletcher in general, it's more a wider point to a lot of young talent, especially up here. So don't know why promising youngsters are in such a hurry to go down the road. Stay up here, try break into the first team before going down the road and getting lost in a Premiership academy system. But I think obviously the fact that Peter chucked him in to the deep end, so to speak, on Sunday, not only highlights the opportunity that's there for those 18s, but gives him the sense that he could be part of the plans into next season. So a lot of promising shoots to see, I guess, from that squad, a title-winning squad, of course, and lots to be excited about. It's just a shame that the season finishes in 2 games' time. The other exciting news for those that like these sort of things as the season dwindles down to the end, Phil, is the release of the new Aberdeen kit. It was announced at 2:30 this afternoon. For those tuning in, since there's quite a few of you tuning in, we'll just blur me and Phil's face and whack the kit in front of it instead for
Probably
those to
not a
see.
bad thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. Everyone's thankful of that now. Initial thoughts. A lot of people have said it's kind of draws similar to designs to the old style JVC kit. There's a grey collar, or granite grey, I think it's being referred to on the club website. White trim on the shoulders, and a checkered Formula One style flag on the front. Thoughts, Phil?
I'm sort of on the fence. It's not something I love. It's not something I'm venomously against. There's a few things I'm not too keen on just now, and it'll probably grow on me. Like, for example, this season I wasn't keen on the gold details on the kit, gold collar, etc. But as the season went on, it was quite good. But yeah, the grey collar, the grey half collar, I suppose. I'm kind of a bit. The checks also confused me in a way. I thought they were maybe going to be a bit bigger, a bit like the old style kits, or at least be all linear.
Yes.
I don't quite like the warped effect, like I was saying to you before we came live, that it kind of reminds me a little bit of what Scotland's done with their home kit for the Euros, and the sort of different directions things are going. And yeah, I don't know, it's interesting. I mean, obviously a lot of people seem to like it, as we can tell from reaction on Twitter. I think it'll be once again a season where I'm in the minority for at least 3 months until I eventually see it in the flesh. I think I put on Twitter, if Hoylett's wearing it and bagging 15 assists next season, I'll probably say I like it. So
I'm glad you said you like it, not get a tattoo of Junior Hoylett wearing that kit instead.
I don't know if Rosie would ever go to bed again if she had to face not only CR9 but Junior Hoylett as well.
Michael Taylor saying very retro looking. I like it a lot. Musical Box likes it, and his shirt is already ordered. I'm sure there's a lot like the Musical Box who stay abroad that have ordered it to make sure that their kit is there for the summer months. Elise Seymour picking up on a point for me, which is I didn't quite realize as well at the time, just how expensive the kits are becoming. I guess it's just a trait of modern football. £73 including postage, £68 for the top, just outright. It's just a sign of how expensive football's coming. I think for those grown men that like wearing a full football kit, including the shorts, you're well over the guts of £110. And I know there'll be a few that have got kids to buy for. Like myself, I'm just glad I've saved up my Cormac coins, or Don's Cash, whatever it's called, to cash in a bit of a discount. Look, there seems to be a quite popular reaction to the kit. I think it's fair to say, from a lot of people. But I'm like you as well. The biggest gripe, and I think it's my OCD, doesn't like how that bottom, as we're looking at the picture on screen, the bottom right block as such goes from being horizontal to vertical for quite a prominent part, and it's really off-putting. It's like someone's forgot to rotate it 90 degrees, as you say, kind of like a touch to the way the Scotland kit's just like kind of mumbled jumbled. So for me, that's kind of why the underwhelming nature it feels around the kit. But I'm sure once it's worn and we're lifting silverware above it, I'm not really going to care what strip we're wearing. I'll look forward to the black and gold Sam Sparrow away kit, and the white third kit that's also been rumoured as well. I'm excited to see both those efforts.
Yeah, no, I think just going back to the other point as well, I think the price, I know everything inflates, and it's not cheap to make kits these days, all their fancy sweat-proof fabrics and yada yada yada. But it's getting very much where as somebody likes his American sports, we're verging very close on American sports categories here, where you're looking at the guts of $100 for a basketball top or an NFL jersey.
Yeah.
And I think like you say, people with families. One of my favourite memories growing up was getting the new Dons kit with
Mm.
my name and the age that I was at the time. On the back of it from my dad for my birthday or something. They were 40 quid kits and maybe a fiver for a name, fiver for a
Mm.
number or whatever, or even just going into JJB and
Yeah.
buying a random shirt, with my paper and money. But I think if you're someone that's maybe got a few kids or whatever, it can get pricey, obviously, on top of tickets as well. I mean, even just looking at Sunday, you're wanting to go to Hibs away, an adult ticket's
Mm.
costing you £34. You're wanting to buy the new Dons top, you're now looking at, £107 in the space of 2 days, really.
Yeah.
Um, it's yeah, I think a lot of people, and it's been discussed for a while, will get priced out of football, but
Hmm.
I suppose that's just the nature of the kit making business now. Clubs got to make money, Adidas has to make money, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
think that'll be the struggle.
it is the unfortunate nature of the beast that football's kind of going down, but kit's always the fun thing that splits opinion, and I think obviously ourselves and the ABZ posted two contrasting opinions of the kit, and it appeared on a lot of people's timelines simultaneously. But again, that's the joys of football. One set of podcast likes it, one not so much. But as I said, it's not for me. I'll wait and see what the black and gold away kit looks like. I might purchase that, and the white third kit. I don't know why the hell we need a third kit this year when we're not in Europe. Again, money making ploy. But I'm sure if it's a good looking kit, I'll be buying it.
I was about to say, I suppose what to pull it on against Hearts, the away from last season. So
Yeah.
you never know when it might appear. But no, like you, I think I'm looking forward to the black and gold, depending how they've done it.
Hmm.
Because the Apex tubulars, half black, half gold, was a favourite of mine growing up. So
Well, I quite like I think was it AFAB that was the sponsor when it was black and with a yellow
oh,
circular
collar,
collar and the
yeah,
trim on the sleeves. I like that top as well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what they look like. Right, on to the midweek game. God, I'm still stuck on week after week. It's Livingston final home game of the season. Phil, some may say beware the wounded lion. Of course, Livy now relegated and playing with that bit of freedom. But I think, given the way we've been playing over the last 5-6 games, you'd very much expect the Dons to continue their fine run of form and go out and win this game and potentially take that clean sheet record off of Celtic. And you'd like to think we've got an excellent chance of making it 7 clean sheets in a row as well.
yeah, absolutely. I think you're probably more likely to be looking at rotations in this game than I would say County. Um, but I don't think the team will be changed too much overall. Obviously, I think Miovski's really, really, really want to get up to that 30 goal mark
Hmm.
for the season. So I think even if his legs were absolutely shot from Sunday, he'd probably drag himself to that centre circle come kick off. Um, and probably with his legs shot, score 3 against Livy. But yeah, I think it's a tough one because obviously Livy's not got anything to play for at this point. Personal pride, players maybe playing for a move potentially, try to catch eyes.
Hmm.
So I think it'll be interesting just to see how we line up. Like I said, I think confidence should be flying at the moment. And if we play anywhere near, even half of the sort of level, and we were playing on Sunday, I think I don't think Livy will be able to put too much of a finger on us, really.
Yeah, and Paul Donaldson, Lee Seymour also saying the same thing. Miovski hat trick. Hopefully, he has to get one at some point. It's baffling that in all the goals he scored over his time here, he still hasn't had a hat trick. I think someone pointed out over the weekend as well that he did have an opportunity to, but he gave a penalty to Vinny Bizawa instead, which is obviously where he didn't get his hat trick. It would be quite great. In terms of changes, I think the only one for me, you obviously mentioned kind of Bojan's potential fitness, would be Junior Hoylett. Do you swap that in for Duke, or do you look at some of the young team and give them minutes instead? Because of course we know what Duke can do as well. I wonder how difficult that might be, given of course their game tonight. But I don't really see that being too much of an issue, given what we've seen out of Fletcher Boyd. The one thing I do hope from Wednesday night is that both Bojan, because it does feel inevitable. Obviously, he's used in the marketing videos for the new kit. That little bit of hope will burn inside many that he's still here next season, but it does feel inevitable he'll be away in the summer. that both himself and Peter Leven are afforded the suitable reception that they both richly deserve for their contributions to this football club over Bojan's couple of seasons, but Peter Leven's spell this season, dragging us from a position no Aberdeen fan expected to see this season, up to a little bit of credibility, at least as this season draws to a close. I think you kind of touched on Peter maybe being kind of a reserved guy, but he does very much need to be put in the spotlight for this game and given the acclaim of the crowd for getting us back up into, as right now we sit 7th place and could potentially, depending on results elsewhere on Wednesday night, seal that 7th place before we head to Dingwall at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like you're going back to your first one, I think I agree with Dukin for Hoyle. I thought he was playing well when he came off the bench. But no, like you say, I think nothing's obviously been confirmed whether he's off yet. I think the whole kit and boot raffle on his Instagram, and just the fact that he's been the bright spark for majority of the season on an underperforming team, it's going to be very hard to keep a hold of him. And I think we're probably going to be seeing him away in the summer. So obviously we're wanting to give him his best to send off as he can, especially after his openness about how appreciated he feels and how much love he's got for the fans in the city. And Peter Leven as well. I mean, having admittedly after quite a few beers and wines, speaking to Peter Leven at Player of the Year and effectively pouring my heart out to him, and just seeing how awkward he was about that, don't know if it was a mix of he didn't like the limelight or I was just a bit of a drunken annoyance, probably one of many that night. But I think, just the connection he's rekindled between the stands and the pitch, in his spells in charge. I think he deserves the plaudits. The players have picked up performances as well. But no, I think Leven has just came in and just sort of made what's been a really underwhelming season at times kind of a bit more prideful and a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, look, I think you can't gloss over the fact that it's been an absolutely shite season in the league. Obviously, in both cups, we've performed where I think us as fans expect us to be, a minimum of a semi-final. We've obviously got to one final as well and then shot the bed when we got there. But it's by the by, there's definitely kind of stepping stones as we go into next season that Peter's put in place for Jimmy when he comes in. So yeah, there's definitely credibility. We're ending the season on a positive. We're ending it on a high, not the highs that we'd hoped for, but certainly we're going about ending the season with a bit of positivity and before we sign off for a couple of months. Not us, because we'll be with some content over the summer after we're back from Germany. Well, me and Callum respectively. Well, you're going as well, actually. So once we've had our break for the Euros, we'll be back with some content for that. One player that's had a break as well, there's a wee link for you. The musical box says, Will Hayes get a cameo on Wednesday? Obviously being part of the coaching staff over recent weeks. Do you think he'll move away from the coaching staff and maybe get a wee 5-minute run out to, again, looks like signal the end of his Pittodrie career?
Yeah, well, I think, obviously, unsurprisingly, at the current point in his career, he's veering into coaching, whether it's with a certain teams under 18s, which would break my heart a little bit, but obviously, he's got ties to them as well, and being from Ireland and whatnot, it makes a bit of sense for him to end up where he ends up. But maybe at times in this sort of tenure, he's not been the Johnny Hayes that we all know. But I mean, he's been an unbelievable servant to the club. Some of the memories he's given, fans, arguably one of the best players that people of my generation will have seen. Playing, cognitively remember playing for Aberdeen. I think if he is off, I think bringing him on for a little bit towards the end and just letting him have that one last moment, maybe a perler on that left foot again for one last time. Maybe. You never know. But no, it'd be nice to see him if he is heading off, get a good send off as well.
Yeah. Graham Gibbs saying before Saturday I was wanting, Sunday I think he means, was wanting Milne at right back, but Devlin was very good at the weekend. again, I think it'd be interesting to hear the thoughts of Peter Leaven probably in tomorrow's press conference about what his plans are for the game. He spoke very much pre-Hibs about wanting to finish the league as high as possible and treat every game to continue that, momentum winning feeling in the squad. So you don't probably want to make too many wholesale changes, but you certainly think we might see some of these players, as we allude to, that have been on the fringes. Another player who I guess we should mention in terms of being given decent receptions, in my mind, on Wednesday, if it does prove to be his last game at Pittodrie, and he does get taken off before the end, I do hope Connor Barron is given a decent reception. For me, a player that's always looked to do his best for the club, has always looked to take responsibility in the centre of that midfield when he's played, always looking for the ball, always distributing the ball 9 times out of 10 well, sometimes tries too hard and gives away cheap possession, but a lot more calmer in the midfield than the likes of Graham Shinney. And I just hope, like Lewis Ferguson has done before, he goes on to bigger and better things if he is away in the summer. And I hope that he's also afforded a decent reception on Wednesday. It does feel like the end for a few players. I know, I think it was David McLennan put in the comments earlier that he hopes that Duke might still be here. Boyan might still be here next season, but believes Duke will be away. I don't know how parents deal with it. So any mums or dads that have to deal with the heartbreak of their child's favourite player leaving the club, please let me know how to deal with that, because I don't know how Rory will take the news if Duke does depart this summer. And David also saying, likewise, Roos. I think he's also likely going to be playing his last game at Pittodrie on Wednesday as well. So a few departures likely. I think just in general this summer, the overhaul, obviously, again, the likes of Stefan Gartman's loan coming to an end. So, changing of the guard, I think we'll call it, instead of the end of an era, because it's not really exactly been an era that was going to be fondly remembered for, come full time on Wednesday.
No, I mean, like I say, every player this season's contributed something. Maybe not always good, but they've contributed. There's been signs of trying, especially in the recent run, and there's, especially like Sabara. I know he splits opinion quite a fair bit just with the whole contract saga, but again, it's probably a testament to the club that the sort of caliber of teams are sniffing around, trying to pick him up. It's a caliber to our development model, and if he goes off to the likes of Italy like Ferguson has and has a stormer, then even if we're only getting the compensation money that will be due, then having that sort of global advert of another Aberdeen midfielder playing well in the big European league suits us well. And I think, like I say, with Leaven being in, that sort of connection between the fans of the club being back and that feel good factor, despite the circumstances being there, I think every player will get a good send off. I mean, even Sunday there with Roos, he had a wobble with a punch. His overall performance was good, and he got a good ovation at the end, as well. So even the likes of Roos might even not get booed off the pitch at Pittodrie for the first time in a little bit.
Yeah, I forgot how unnecessary that punch was. Thanks for
just
bringing that back
there
up.
for you.
Yeah, but I think obviously we've not really spoken about the game itself on Wednesday. It's not really a game we can do too much insight on. Livy playing with a lot of freedom, Aberdeen playing for the pride of finishing 7th, if you want to call it that. I think from an Aberdeen point of view, it's just about putting another win on the board, and ideally another clean sheet as well would be great. But it's one of those games. It's the end of season feel to it, and I just hope we've got a victory to celebrate and discuss come the end of it as well. But one thing, Phil, it's also been great having you back on the show. Again, looking back at a lot of talking points that we've managed to cram into this hour. My biggest takeaway from the weekend is the future is bright. The future is very much red and white as well. And seeing what we saw on Friday and the integration of those players, and the performance of the weekend, it's given me a lot of encouragement going into the end of the season.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. I think we can all see that the signs are there that next season, might not be as bad as this. I don't want to be too overconfident. I'm pretty sure at the start of this season we were going to be finishing third again.
Mm-hmm.
Saw how that worked. So the signs are there. The next season could be a lot more of a positive for us in terms of league form. Hopefully we can carry on sort of the bounces we've been able to get in the cup, -1 in the League Cup final. But I think there's a lot to be optimistic about going forward. Definitely, new manager coming in, some new players to maybe get a look at, players that we've probably never heard of as well. They'll have the opportunity to excite the young team as well. So
yeah,
I think it'll be good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as Dandy says, been watching heaps of highlights of Elfsborg games from the last couple of seasons and looked like leaving implemented. Jimmy Ball, as he's calling it. Hopefully that phrase doesn't catch on. That's such a Callum Wright phrase. Implemented Jimmy Ball against Hibs yesterday. We've kind of touched on that. Tosher was getting all wound up about that comment about kind of seeing an implementation of the style that we might see next season. He felt that Peter Leven deserved all the credit for yesterday, and I'm not taking any credit away for the job that Peter Leven's done, but I can't help but feel we're looking at implementing some of that style in that play, so Jimmy can see how capable the current crop of players are in doing so. So lots to be excited about. Hopefully some more attacking football on show. Prime Barca 2006 back again. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Thanks very much to Phil for joining me, as always, over the last few months in the co-host seat. Thanks very much to all of you who've joined in the show tonight here live on the YouTube channel. Remember to like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts as well. And special thanks to Sam Gordon for his updates throughout the game. The under-18s currently 2-0 down in their final game of the season. Hopefully they get a rousing reception as well at Pataudry on Wednesday night. For all of you catching up on audio as well, remember to follow us wherever you've been tuning in. Leave a review. Always helps us grow the podcast and reach a wider Aberdeen audience, or certainly an Aberdeen fan base wide and far. Until next time, there's only 2 episodes to go. We'll see you then.